celebrating 2 years, y'all. Celebrating 2 years. You know, someone said to me this week, Ricardo, why are you trying to deceive the people? I said, deceive who? They said, man, this ain't no 2 years outfit. You've been doing this for a while. I said, well, you know what? According to the state of Texas, my LLC, a business that is, it's not a ministry, it's a business. It's been 2 years since we launched this platform. And so, yep, I've been doing ministry for more than 25 years, but the platform of effective living is 2 years old. And you saw a little flashback of what we've been doing over the past 24 months. This morning, I'm joined with a guy who was there at the initial break of Ricardo wanting to do something to inspire the world. I'm joined with none other than Kaiwan Gibson. What's up, Gibson?
Hey, man, delighted to be here. I feel special. Man, listen here, my value going up today.
Man, listen, what a journey. I mean, it's been some time. I've been wanting to have this conversation with you. I have been working on this new platform. You know me. You knew when Abo Kids Club, when Words at Work initially started, when I was thinking about being Abo the Clown and working with young people, and then the shift occurred and I started to talk to you about the breaking of day for that. I mean, before we go into this initial talk, tell the viewing audience a little bit about Kaiwan Gibson.
Oh, man, my name is Kaiwan Giovanni Gibson. I reside in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas in New Providence. I am the husband of Charlene Gibson, the father of 2 sons, the founder of K1 Distributors and K1 Inspiration International, considered a brand mentor and a life skills global ambassador. I love people. I love to give back. And I'm honored to be able to, just help humanity to embrace, define, express, and project their purpose as a brand. And I'm just honored to be able to do my part in the globe or on the globe, Miller.
Well, you know what? We've been on a journey for a while, man, and it is a delight to see what God's doing in our lives. I'm appreciative of our relationship over the years and until now come through 2020, which that global pandemic just disrupted so much. And now we're here. What a junction to be at. We're going to dive into a talk, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to bless you. It's going to encourage you. It's going to inspire you. We'll be right back because I want to share about an event that we're having today here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Gibson, it's our 2nd year anniversary. Celebrating big, and I want those in the Dallas area to come out and join me this evening. It's called A Fun Day in the Park. But check out our last event, and we'll be right back.
Today, I have the distinct pleasure of being with Effective Living, doing exercises with Miss Sonia. Today, we had a fun day out here at River Legacy Park. The Effective Living community came together. Day with Effective Living today. We had a scavenger hunt, a nice walk around the park, as well as a great workout with Miss Sonia. We were dancing, we were doing burpees, but it was all in fun.
We have also had an opportunity to meet new people, and it has been a great day. You're not a part of the Effective Living community. We want to encourage you to do that because it is a place that we can continue to have fun.
Involved a lot of dance moves as well as just basic workout moves. So it brought everybody together for all ages, and I think it was a great, fantastic workout. So next time we have something, we want to see you there. The more, the merrier. And join us in this journey to create a life you don't need to take a vacation from. Our next Effective Living event will be July 17th. Mark your calendar, Saturday, July 17th.
So July 17th, that's the day, people. July 5 p.m. this evening, we'll be having a great time. Gibson, man, what a journey this has been. Having these meetups, we call them meetups, and to be able to bring people together after everything has been shut down. Each month continues to get better. But I want to dive in, man. You have been focusing on helping people, but one of the message that resonates with me that you have been pushing that I feel as though I needed to hear you talk to our audience about it, and it is this uniqueness message, embracing your uniqueness. Tell us about the thought that inspired that thought that made you say, I'm going to put that into my brand and my business.
Well, what I've learned to understand is through my journey and through my research, through my failing forward, through my successes, through my time of research, through my growth process, that we all are designed just like how we all are designed differently, just like how we all have different fingerprints, and that in itself, should tell us that it is something different about us. And even though we should be motivated, even though we should be inspired, even though we should be mentored, because all of that is part of our journey, there comes a time when you have to just accept that there's just, I appreciate this one, I appreciate that one, I appreciate this one, I appreciate, all of those that have gone ahead of me, all of those that have making an impact in me. But there's always going to be something that stands out to make you want to be able to operate from that place of uniqueness. And sometimes individuals just struggle, or we struggle to want, being able to accept that. And to be honest, what we really like about individuals, what we really like about people we admire is the fact that they are unique and they operate from a place of being comfortable with who they are.
Yeah. That's so true. I struggle with that for the longest. I mean, I have a clear uniqueness that brings about a value that nobody else can bring. And I've come to accept that more now. But even at 45 years old, I found that there have been moments where I still struggle to embrace my uniqueness. And there are a lot of people, Gibson, their value is within their uniqueness. But if you're not going to embrace your uniqueness, you may never tap into your value.
Yeah. For instance, my name in itself, Kaiwan, when I was in school, every time a lot of the teachers for years and years, they would pronounce my name. I could always tell when it was time for my name to be called in school. I don't know if they still do it. It was a Kawani, it was a this and that. And even when I go out, some people would try, they would mess up the pronunciation of the word. And to some extent, I tend to dislike my name, or it was like irritating because I was like, hey, every time I have to deal with this, trying to um, help somebody pronounce my name when in my mindset it should be easy.
Right.
So even that in itself had to teach me, hey, it's a reason my name is original. It's a reason for everything. And even having to accept and fall in love again
Yeah.
with my name, because I got to a point where people didn't know my first name, and I was like, hey, how you cannot know my first name and I know you 10,
Right.
5 certain years. So everything about us is for us to really accept this is a part of who I am.
Yeah. Well, this is a part of who I am. Now, that right there is a struggling position as well, because who I am, even though I find myself through Washington Street, even though I might find myself through Ridgeland Park, even though I might find myself in the Grove here in the Dallas area, I might find myself in Oak Cliff. If you're in Chicago, you might be on the east side, the west side, what they say, the south side. Well, be it as it may, no matter where you find yourself, at the end of the day, you may have a uniqueness outside of where you are and have to learn how to embrace, okay, that's just where I started. That doesn't mean that's who I need to be eternally. And so, Gibson, a lot of people still struggle with, man, can I accept the fact that that's just where I started? And, and I'm more than where I was. I'm more than what I did even. I am becoming. The whole concept of becoming a better version of yourself, just to embrace self, is a struggling reality. I mean, the struggle is real. A lot of people want to be themselves, but don't want to put in the work to figure that out. What's your thought on that?
Oh man, you just said a lot. And to me, I'm far from where I want to be.
Right.
And I think a lot of times we try to sell ourselves beyond where we are. And I try my best to really, stay grounded. I try my best to speak from a place of authenticity because I'm on a growth journey.
Yeah.
I don't really like to always use the word success. I like your meaning for it in your book, because one man is trying to get a nice tiny house, and he's downsizing to a tiny house. They're very famous in America. And him and his wife are trying to get this tiny house, 900, 800 square foot. Another man is trying to get a 7-bedroom, and he don't get this 7-bedroom. He don't have he that's what he considered success. So I've had to understand, and that's why I love the word growth. But let me tune into me, because I always, I had a problem taking selfies, because this nose here always used to, it's like the nose always seems so plump or so big in the selfies.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And eventually I say, you know what, I'm not going to change the nose.
Right.
I'm not paying for the operation. So
because they could do that. They could fix a brother up there, even in the Bahamas. You can get a tighten up on the nose, Gibson.
Sure, but that's why I'm saying this. That's why I say what I say. I'm not going to invest in getting the nose cut. So you know what? Let me just back to this word. Let me embrace my nose. They used to call me badass in school. But you know what is so ironic? I've never had someone really say, hey, your nose big.
Right.
Maybe if they thought it, I can't, it was never said enough. Now, in high school, they used to say I have bad ass. I don't know what they was talking about. I didn't say any bad ass. Yeah. So my point is, I had to get out of my own way. Yeah. And sometimes, because no one ever really talked about the nose issue, that was something I was looking at. Yeah. And a lot of the times, we are in our own way. Yeah. A lot of the times, the the voices we hear from what we think people are saying
Yeah.
is really from is really from ourself or low self-esteem or being scarred or whatever, and we are viewing ourselves from that perspective.
Yeah.
So most of the time, or part of the journey, is really getting out of your own way.
Yeah. Getting out of your own way. What a word, because I can remember, as you just mentioned, being called big head. And I was about 32 years old when I looked in the mirror and said, you know what, my head is nicely sized, right? You can't have, watch this, Gibson. This is my own revelation where I've had to come and own it and love it. You can't have a head with a small face, because a big head is going to have a full face that matches the head. Then the nose have to be proportionate to the face. So I too was called on many occasions big nose, big head. And you know what? It's amazing that the people who would say those things, if you really wanted to shoot back at them, there was something a little off about them. But is it off or is it uniqueness? See, is it uniqueness? Because a lot of times we call it off and we degrade a person because of their distinction that separates them from us. And we try to make it feel bad. What's your thought on that, man? Making people feel bad.
Miller, make sure, because you dive in, and make sure as we dive, make sure we cover it all of depth, because you go with so much things that I want to make sure we talk about those stuff, because there's so much different perspectives.
Yeah.
I want to share
Please.
A short story I came up with. There was a chicken and a peacock.
Wow.
And both of them were great performers. So the managers of the club, the managers of the organization say, hey, who are we going to pick to be the number one act? Both of these in audition were extremely, great. So they manicured, fixed up the chicken, sent them up on the stage, and bam, the chicken just wowed the crowd, blow the crowd away. They manicured, fixed up the peacock. The peacock ran out there, and bam, the crowd booed. The peacock, in his mind, already decided to go to management and say, hey, management, he already had in his mind, can you cut my feathers like the chicken?
Wow.
On the way to the back door, there was this turtle coming in, who everyone was making sport of, saying, man, he's slow. And suddenly the peacock came up on the turtle, and the turtle said to the peacock, because the peacock was on the way to management to go, make this deal to cut his feathers like the chicken. So the turtle said to the peacock, hey, man, I own the biggest gig next door, and I heard there's a peacock over here who did a great job. And I'm looking for him to perform in my club, and my club is 3 times the size of this. Right there, the peacock realized it was not about changing or getting his feathers cut like the chicken.
Yeah.
It was about finding that spot, that place, that community that could have embraced who he was.
Yeah.
So sometimes, yes, you might have a big head to individuals. Yes, that is their perspective about you, and that's their reality as they look at you. But listen here, at the end of the day, you're still wonderfully and fearfully made. What you gonna do? Go squash your head? Or you can say, you know what? This my nose, this my head. I gotta live with this the rest of my life, and I have to appreciate who I am. So it's a number of things. It's coming back to embracing the fact that this is who you are. Yes, maybe I can fix up the head. And I'm just using this term. Maybe I can fix the head up or dress myself up the way I'm comfortable here with, but it still boils down to having a level of acceptance, having a level of embracing who you are. And this is how you're showing up
Man, I love that story. You know, the peacock, it's all about location. In one room, you're booed, in another room, you're celebrated. Wow. In one room, you're about to be put out. In another room, you're being invited on the stage to be, you know what I mean, the official act, you know, what everybody comes for. And so that's something right there. We don't teach that, though. We don't teach that. We teach and we encourage and nurture rejection as you're not qualified, and you're not destined for greatness because you were rejected. Rejection in general, because one room did not accept you, you might as well pack up your Georgie bundle and go home, because this is not for you. It's clearly not for you. When I left R.M. Daly, Gibson, they said, I went back and asked for the transcript. And on the transcript said Ricardo had potential. I left R.M. Bailey at 16 years old. Who dare put in writing had potential? Potential had potential. And so somebody said, well, you know what the teacher was probably meaning. No. See, I don't want to be with nobody who think I had potential when I'm 16. I have potential. You know, say Ricardo had potential, have potential, be it as it may. That could have labeled me for the rest of my life to say I've lost my window of acquiring any level of success, because my teacher said I had potential. And now that I left high school without capitalizing on what high school was supposed to bring to me, I'm going to lose in life. What's your view on that whole concept of people labeling you or booing you off of the stage, Mr. Peacock, when in reality, that's just a place that you are not accepted, not basically who you are in general?
Boy, listen, we can talk with this, because the end of the day, this is a perplex situation, because first of all, life throws so much blows at us that all of us at some level is going through some trauma, and trauma could relate it to in different ways. I mean, I'm so glad that, you know, this is you have a global platform, because sometimes in certain regions, trauma could just be, or they were, you know, some persons, you know, they narrow it down to, or they were raped, or they had, they lost a family member, or something tragic happened. He lost two of his brothers, got shot. But listen, sometimes persons experience trauma just by surviving in life. One person could live with their father pass away, the next person can't get over it. I'm saying all this to say, the people who were designed to nurture us, they on a journey of growth. They're, you know, and they've already experienced so much blows. For instance, they used to call, I was the last child, black sheep. And, you know, I'm the darkest. There's these labels. Persons, if you're not having the A grades in the family, then technically you're dumb one. How they word that, and so forth. So what happens to us is people label us based on their insight or foresight. And because maybe how their intelligence, maybe how they view life, so they cut you off. So as far as that teacher was concerned, hey, if he don't do well from grade 7 to grade 11 or grade 7 to grade 9, his life is finished. That's her paradigm. So people speak from a place of what they have already experienced, and not from a place of, you know, it's possible. Hey, young man, you're having challenges reading now. Hey, young man, listen to me. You can be anything you want to be. You can get through this. Yes, it's not going to be today. Yes, it's not going to be tomorrow. You can get through this. So a lot of the persons, and let me just home this in, a lot of the persons who were designed to nurture us were not healthy.
Wow. Wow. Yeah.
And it brings me to and unhealthiness sometimes has to do with everybody sizing you up that you should be like this. And this happens in families, this happens in businesses, this happens in churches, this happens all over the globe. So, hey, if you're not this way, something wrong with you.
Yeah.
And then what that does with us is sometimes it triggers us to feel as if, hey, I'm not going in that direction, so something is wrong with me.
Yeah.
Oh, let me stop right there, Miller. Let me stop right there.
Oh my goodness, ladies and gentlemen, we're joined with the one and only Kaiwan Gibson out of Nassau, Bahamas. This is my brother, and we're talking about accepting your uniqueness. There's a distinction between you and the other guy. Your fingerprint indicates that you are the only you on the planet. The question is, have you accepted you? I went to high school and left with a transcript that said Ricardo had potential. 26 years later, Kaiwan Gibson, I'm being inducted in that high school Hall of Fame. And so who would have thought that leaving with the statement, not most likely to succeed award, but Ricardo had potential. And 26 years later, being inducted in that same school Hall of Fame. Gibson, today, people are struggling. People are struggling not because they don't have something to offer, but because sometimes they have not done the work to find out who they are. And then unfortunately, who they submitted themselves to a long life journey, they too did not really know who they are or who they were. And so now you have a teacher who was toxic, a teacher who was limited, but a teacher who was teaching. So now, are you skilled enough to eat the watermelon and spit out the seed? Are you skilled enough to identify that this person have a gold gem for me, but this person is also toxic? Can I extract the gold gem and reject or establish an immune system to be able to be in their present without being affected by their negativity? Most people haven't done that work.
Yeah, that's a continuous, the need to be accepted.
Yep.
It's nearly like we grew up in a society. It's nearly like the Pied Piper.
Yep.
And when you think about it, he's playing this tune, and everybody's supposed to be following his tune.
Yep.
And I don't know if it's the cartoon or animated visual of it where you have the rats dancing and everybody, and then you got this one rat who's like, man, he's playing classic, and this rat say, man, this guy need to try this rap tune. So in that group, in that community, something wrong with him. Because this, you need to get with this tune, but he's feeling this rap and he's feeling a different beat. And I think we have to work on having that courage to go after and build and nester and nurture and foster what we feel is calling us or what we feel drawn to. And that in itself, you will have to go through a season of let me take this a little straight. Let's talk straight. Can I use my word? They tell me I create my words. Let's talk straight up.
Straight up. Go for it. I like it.
Look at your journey. the clown, the abo, words at work. And through that journey of moving to, relocating to America and having your struggles, having your striving, having your success and so forth. Look at the level, if you just take some time, let's talk about a little bit of the level of misunderstanding, something your family member would say, why you got to go to the States? Look at, or someone was saying, well, who you think you is? Do they say it like that in America? Who you think you is? I want to make sure, and just thinking about that now, you have grown, whether people, it don't matter whether people like you or not. It don't matter at this time because you are making not only a national impact, you're making a global impact. Your level of consistency, your level of growth and inspiring, and not until individuals try to do one thing on their own, not two things.
Right.
One thing on their own successfully, then they could say, wow, this is not as easy as it is. So if we just look at your journey and the level of misunderstanding, the level of discouragement at times from persons who you feel encourage, or sometimes people just indirectly discourage us by ignoring us.
Right.
And not returning a call, or because at that time, the truth be told, you don't value or you don't bring anything to their table.
Yeah, right.
And look at the hypocrisy. Look at the hypocrisy now at some level, because now, hey, let me try to connect with Miller, and I'm just using that in that term. Mm-hmm. Because the end of the day, we're all on a growth journey. And the end of the day, all of us have to grow because all of us have to see things from a different perspective. So that in itself says a lot about your unique journey. At your time, no one was maximizing, in my circle or most of our circle, no one was maximizing really being effective at the children ministry. And now look at the evolution. Yeah. You know how much dislikes turn to likes over the you know how much scorn turned to admiration. Yeah. So to me, I'm understanding that we just have to get to the point to grow through it.
Yeah. Wow. I like that term, grow through it. If you're watching today, I'm joined with my friend and brother, Kaiwan Gibson, out of the Bahamas, and we're talking about embracing your uniqueness. Kaiwan Gibson was there, very instrumental in me becoming who I am today. I remember going on East Street and having sat down with you, and you were painting the fence, and one car was on the lot in the center. It was a white Honda. I don't know if you remember that. One car at the time when you were painting, and we were talking about what's going to be and what's coming. And I'm excited about it because it's been an interesting journey. There's been a lot of incredible things that have occurred during that time, a lot of life lessons, lots and lots of life lessons. Guys, this month, we're celebrating 7 years on the radio at Fishbowl Radio Network. We initially started off as children's ministry today with Ricardo Miller, and then we made a shift into effective living. You got to check this out, and we'll be right back with our conversation. We're talking embracing your uniqueness. Check this out. We're Mondays in and out. We're showing up. We're providing great content to help people take their life to a whole new level. Here on Fishbowl Radio Network, I learned a quote a couple of years ago, guys, and it really helped me to form this whole platform and the service we provide to effective living. And it says, life is 10% of what happens to you and 90% of how you respond to it. Most people don't understand it's about the response. Bobby G joining us for 7 years. I mean, we've been on the platform doing our thing, and we're celebrating 7 years. 7 years.
7 years! Good job! Good job! Good job!
There's room for improvement. What do y'all think about it? Faith, family, finance, fitness, and fun.
Come on.
I'm talking about to have all of them on lock. I'm telling you, I'm in pursuit of it.
Yes.
I'm in pursuit of it. Creating a life you don't need a vacation from is possible. Join us every Monday right here on Effective Living. Connect with us with our various services on our website, ricardomiller.com. Love and appreciate you. 7 years going strong. Good night, everybody. Good night. Woo-hoo.
Hi, it's Ricardo Miller of Effective Living here on Fishbowl Radio Network, where we're helping you to create a life you don't need to take a vacation from. Every Monday night at 7 p.m. to 9 p.m.
Oh man. Oh man. I'm not supposed to say anything. Okay.
No, you're fine, man. Listen, what a journey.
Yeah, listen. And I'm gonna say it now live. I always look for authenticity. And I believe that is one of the things about the keys about embracing your uniqueness. And I just want to encourage you, 7 years in the 7 month. But I want to just encourage you and congratulate you openly. Because when you look at that clip, it's a difference with trying to do something than being something. And my journey and what I'm learning is the process of being is where the true inspiration and motivation comes from.
Yeah.
So I just want to encourage you in that note. And only one thing though, I wish you'd had at least one clip where you could show them this ain't easy as it look, you know. you just one clip with your scratching your head saying, hey, how we can make this happen? But so,
oh my goodness. Oh, the behind the scene. You know, I have done enough stuff to realize, man, when you see someone put their first foot forward and making an attempt to do something. I was talking to a business colleague of mine 2 days ago, and I said, man, listen, I walk into his store all the time, and I'm like, good for you, man. He jumped, he opened his business, and is thriving. And I said, I'm so grateful. And he said, man, I didn't know a few years ago how this felt. And now I know that the commitment that I had to put in to become who I am today, the faith walk, the failing moments, the return checks, the no calls, the you know what I'm saying, the late payments, the whole dynamics. I'm grateful for my journey. And that's the reason why I'm celebrating the 2-year element of simply saying, you know what? I'm committed to getting better with age. Gibson, I have had to do a continuous unlearning what I should have never learned in the beginning. That let's talk about that for a minute. The unlearning, the journey of having to go somewhere, but the weight of having to carry what you should have never picked up in the beginning. So many of us are having to unlearn, and some people don't want to put in the work because remember now, it is taught that the younger you are, the more adaptable you are. You know, you're more inclined to learn something easier when you're younger. And so after a while, we got We have Jason Baston joining us in Canada, and Jason has been a part of the journey. But to unlearn what you should have never learned, let's talk about that for a minute.
Oh man. And you know, it is so sad. Sometimes we take on the mindset of others who we feel know. Because when I roll back the curtain sometimes, and I think about certain things that was said to me of persons of influence, of persons who were there to nurture. And when I realized, I said, man, that was some off crap. Like, wow. and listen now, they meant well, you know, this is the tricky thing.
Yeah.
You ever thought about how people can damage you?
Yeah.
Go on and live a victorious life, and then you struggling from the damages?
Wow.
It's a passage of scripture, and I hope I'm gonna try to pronounce. I think it's Miselva. He was the carekeeper who was supposed to nurture him, drop him.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he ended up crippled, and from ending up crippled, he ended up in Lullaby.
Yeah.
And not until David summons all of Saul's family, he was called to the table.
Yeah.
So sometimes we learn things that cause us, that's not good for our unique journey.
Wow. Keep that going. Go ahead.
It was not, you know, and so we have to sometimes roll the curtain back and say, hey, okay, that this is challenging my thinking. Yeah. This is challenging my progress. And to be honest with you, and when I began to get personal with myself, because I try to be transparent.
Yeah.
If we don't attempt to relearn, unlearn those things, we end up on a destructive path. And if we don't get to the point where we have enough confidence to say, hey, you know what? This is the journey I'm on now. And I'm going to work with what I've relearned. And I'm going to just try my best to stay empowered, stay resilient, stay persistent, stay consistent in order to get the results I need. So I feel it's very important. And there's a word I like, 2 words, get help. Those words, they are,
No, I'm telling the people, write that in the comment section. Get help. Go ahead.
I caught some, truth be told, I caught some blows in the pandemic. I mean, blows. Everybody, no, everybody in the same boat, because essential workers, persons that work for government agencies, persons that police officers, yes, they might have the strain of the work, but a lot of persons, nurses, a lot of persons' income wasn't damaged the same. Now, some persons needed psychological help and support and emotional help and different things. So it came in a different way. So having to adjust, having to pursue or put more time and put more meaning into developing my platform, it had to be a level of commitment.
Yeah. Kaiwan Gibson, ladies and gentlemen, is joining us all the way from the Bahamas. I love and appreciate this brother. He said something just now. You should write it in the comment section. Get help. I wrote in my book, someone is assigned to help you. Not only that I wrote that someone is assigned to help you, where you're struggling, someone can help you. Now what I've come to accept, Gibson, is that you have to acquire the skill set to identify who's assigned to help and who's assigned to hurt. Because it's one thing to know someone is assigned to help you. You know, there's a nice famous quote that says, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. But also, before the student is ready, distraction shows up to keep the student from ever acknowledging the teacher or the right teacher. So there are deceivers in the world that causes us sometimes to attach ourselves to people who we think mean well for us, who at some point we find out end up being not so good for us. The reality of it is you have to learn who's assigned to help and who's assigned to hurt. And we have to also learn to identify seasons. If you stay in first grade too long, the teacher who once was assigned to help you will now be the reason why you don't grow. Because that teacher was assigned only to take you so far. You need the next teacher. And so for us, if you stay in first grade too long, you can find yourself getting teach what you should have been past, because that teacher is only assigned to teach something in Pacific to first grade. The strength, the drivenness, the determination, the willpower to say, you know what? I'm going to live through my seasons and I'm going to identify who's assigned to help and who's assigned to hurt. I need to get better at that, because sometimes in marriage, sometimes best friends, sometimes on a job, sometimes in ministry, sometimes just you could have a child that ruins you because you fail to realize the characteristics of a bad person. And sometimes the devil uses anybody. What's your view on that?
Oh man. Oh. Oh man.
What's your view on that?
First of all, I agree 100%. Second of all, I wish it was easy as you listed.
Ain't that the truth? Oh
yeah,
man.
I wish it was, but if we can live through some stuff, we tend to better learn. And sometimes, you know, people, we all mean well sometimes, you know.
Yeah.
But sometimes in the meaning well, and persons trying to help us, they, you know, if they don't really sit down and be open and say, hey, I've been in relationships with persons who really, when it boils down, your opinion don't matter.
Right. Yeah. Well, certainly. Yeah.
And somebody's gonna hear this, so I'm gonna take the risk to say it. Not the risk, but I'm gonna be straight up to say it. Sometimes people are trying to confine you to what works for them.
Yeah.
I mean, I serve in an organization, and as long as I ticked off and do everything that was good for them, I was the best person in the world. When I got to a place of understanding, hey, I need to start protecting my space, and this is not reciprocating, this is not balance, and I start to push off some stuff, then the relationship dynamics change.
You know, the interest. Go ahead.
Because sometimes we're in relationships where we should have moved on, like you said. We should have separated, not for bad, but just for the journey's sake.
Yep.
So what happens is persons are, I like to put it this way, in a short term, persons are becoming fat when you're becoming slim. Persons are growing, and persons are excelling from your contribution, but because it's not balanced, it's not a reciprocating relationship, you are becoming deflated. And
go ahead.
And it's important to analyze and try to just be honest with yourself and say, hey, this is damaging me.
That's
so
No,
Go ahead.
I love this because that's the reason why the book says study to show yourself approved. Study to show yourself approved, because the truth is you have to become conscious of yourself enough to know that you're in a world. You can be faithful to a company for years. You can be faithful to a political party. You could be faithful to a church. You could be faithful to a social group, and you could be faithful to associates. And the day you decide to say, if you're in the Bahamas, for those of you watching us from the Bahamas, the day you decide to say, I'm going to Abaco, if everybody's going to Eleuthera, guess what that's called? Pathways. We're going to have to path our ways to now accept the fact that I want to go to Eleuthera and you want to go to Abaco. We can no longer be on the same boat because it's two different directions. Now, here's the challenge. When we as a society realize that if you go to Eleuthera and I'm going to Abaco, it's not bad, it's different. And we should have enjoyed the journey for when we had the season of being both mutually, equally in Andros. While we both were in Andros, we were in Andros, but now we're no longer in Andros. So I think when you look at what you're saying, I think a major challenge in our society is this, is being able to do the work, as you mentioned. And I know it's hard work because I took some time to do this here in Dallas, in the Dallas Forward area. Someone called me a couple of weeks ago. I'm going to say this live. Someone called me a couple of weeks ago, and I chose not to answer the phone for about 6 months. I chose not to answer the phone because every time this person called me, it aggravated my spirit. Okay? So I chose, you know what? I'm 45 years old. I don't have to answer the phone to some people because every time you call me, you aggravate my spirit. So anyhow, this time they called me and text. They found out that something was going on in one of my family members' life, and they wanted to know about it. And they called and text, and I returned the call. And how come you haven't been answering my call? I've been calling you. I said, hey, I chose not to answer. You got to answer the phone. I said, hold on, slow down a little bit. You see, I ain't from Soldier Road, no more like that, right? So I have to now figure out how to respond a little bit different. Person went on, and this is a person right here in the States and in the Dallas area. The person went on, man, you better answer the phone. I'm talking real strong. Now, one of the reasons why I had to now step up to the plate and I say, hey, back up a little bit. He said, no, I still talking. I said, no, you ain't talking no more, babe. Guess what? I had to go back to the stage. I said, listen, you ain't talking no more. What you want? Listen, man, stop talking. Well, I talking like you've talked too much. That's the and then I went straight. So that's why I don't answer the phone from you no more. Because every time you call, you aggravate my spirit. And I'm too grown, mature, and self-awakened to realize there are some things I don't have to tolerate no more. Oh, man, you losing it, Miller. I losing it? I've learned how to establish what I call self-restraint. I've learned to identify what I don't like no more and what I don't have to embrace no more. Oh, boy, what you letting that effective living get to your head. You letting the little success get. That's where you try to go to that, right? And I say, listen, I'm not answering the phone anymore for you. Okay? Love you with the love of Christ. We're going to stay distant with Christ-like, Paul and Barnabas kind of way, okay? but I'm okay. You ain't okay, brother. You ain't okay. I gotta pray for you. Keep praying for me, brother. Because here's the deal: I don't have to tolerate anybody who aggravate my spirit. Oh, but what I did for you years ago and what you did for me years ago, that don't matter right now. I'm not going to be held prisoner to what and how we engaged ourselves 10 years ago, 5 years ago. This is a new season. Trees lose leaves in order to grow. If you want to grow, you're going to have to lose something that was with you for a while.
And let me add to that. The trees are the ones that release the chemical to lose the leaves.
Yeah, come on.
the tree itself.
Yep.
Has chemicals in it. It releases to the leaves the fruit because you know why? The tree knows winter is coming.
Yeah, right. Yep.
And it has to sustain its energy, yep. And it has to protect itself because it needs more nutrition to provide for the leaves and to provide for the fruit. So it releases the enzymes, or I'm not a scientist, but it releases the chemical to get rid of the the unwanted leaves that's going to hurt it. So what you were just saying, um, is protecting your space. And back to what we saying earlier, and I feel like, I mean, we covered a lot, but I feel like it's so much to really go into with this, because especially in the Bahamas, where there's this stigma like, hey, you have to, if you don't do it my way, if you don't do it that way, or if I don't approve of you, and they come from different sets, like, then you shouldn't be doing that because whatever. And this is not, I'm big enough to talk about the whole broad,
Scope.
the broadness of it, because the broad scope, thank you, because it flows from families, it flows from all walks of life. Like, who sanctioned you to talk about you having a show but effective living? You from Soldier Road, boy. I buy you that first shirt, remember? And you are indebted to me because I bought you that shirt 23 years ago when you had no other shirts. So, and I want to highlight this. It's amazing how a lot of people who say, well, that one is freaky, or that one is that kind of way, or he is this kind of way. You ever analyze, most of the time those are the people who have protected space, who has borders and boundaries, and they move in, and the same time these people are talking about them, you see them a month later, and they're connecting with them in a sense, because the end of the day, you can't do nothing with a peacock who understand that it's the only species that has feathers in that dimension. What can you do with a Ricardo Miller after his journey of evolution, after the grace of God um, has been evident in his life, after the scars, after the rejection, after the consistency on Fishbowl radio, after doing the work, and now a brand that is, you can't deny it. It is making an impact globally, whether you like him, his style or not. And guess what? Including me, we all have good, bad, and ugly.
And that's one of the things I have figured out in this season of my life, Gibson. There are over 8 billion people on the planet, and there's 1 million called to me. I want my million. I'm not even a lot in comparison to 8 billion. And so I could still be a drop of a small idea in the big scheme of things, but at the same time, if I'm where I belong, I'm okay with that. I'm embracing my uniqueness. Today, ladies and gentlemen, we're joined with Kaiwan Gibson. We're talking about embracing your uniqueness, learning how to accept the fact that you are different for a reason, discovering what you need to do to make sure you become your best self, and then doing the work on a daily basis, unlearning what you should have never learned, identifying what you need to identify so that you can get what you're supposed to get. As we get ready to close our talk out, Gibson, what advice would you have given yourself looking back? 20-year-old Gibson, knowing what you know now, what are 3 things that comes to mind that you say, oh, Lord, I want to say this because somebody's going to grab a hold of it because they still have that clock factor working for them on the 20-year-old self. And this is a documented video that's going to help them to be able to say, oh, he now captured that. I never got that, and I could still work that. Help someone out. What 3 things you would say to Kaiwan Gibson at 20 years old based on what you know now?
I would say, first of all, keep your relationship with God, build a relationship with God, because at the end of the day, And I know this platform is persons are subscribed to different things
Yeah.
globally, but this is what I subscribe to.
Yep.
Keep your relationship with God. I would say understand me and how to walk in who I am, and the hell with what they think.
Is that number 3 or that's number 2?
I don't know. You count.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Joe with Kaiwan Gibson, man. Listen, Gibson,
So I guess that was 3.
We're gonna go with 3. I think it's because the truth is, there are a lot of people who just don't know how to not give themselves to what everybody else thinks. It's really a struggle. I mean, I'm telling you, man, self-awareness, self-acceptance is such a massive responsibility for an individual, once again. But most people, what they accept isn't actually who they are. It's what they've accepted. You are so much more than who you were. And I'm working through that right now for myself. And that's the reason why when the gentleman called me, I was talking, I realized he was a bully. And all bullies don't come in the form of grab you, take your lunch money, and throw you up against the wall. There are people who are just aggressive in their approach to believe that you should only do it and respond to life as to how they tell you it. And I respected him and loved him for a long time, but I had to realize I was living too long under the premise of what other people thought of me in relations to what I should be doing. I need to learn how to think for myself. And then I need to learn how to sleep and sleep well, having accepted the decision I made. And so I'm not so thirsty to listen to everybody else's opinion. I respect people's opinion. I'm going to need people's opinion on my journey to living life effectively, but I'm not going to be a sucker to people's opinion. To the point where I have not figured out who I am, only to find myself at a certain age sitting on the porch of regret, saying I embraced everybody else's opinion as to what I should be doing. And I never lived. I never became who I felt as though I should be. And so for him, he was one of those people I needed to put up a wall, a boundary, and simply says, you know what? You're too intrusive. You're too demanding. You know, there are people who they give their opinion, but they don't give their opinion as an opinion. They give their opinion as an instruction. And that's okay in its proper place. But I have learned, my son is 19, Gibson. I have learned that I don't tell him what to do no more. I am coaching him and advising him, and he gets the opportunity to choose how he want to utilize the information I'm giving him, because he is now considered a young man, a young adult. And I tell him his life is going to be in direct proportion as to how he used the information he gathered from me and anybody else, including books, because I'm not going to force feed him. I'm going to assist him as I should. And he's going to have to take responsibility for who he become. And that's what I'm figuring out. I have to figure out who I'm becoming, because at the end of the day, I'm going to have to give account for what I've been given to bring to the planet. That was a closing rant. Gibson, what's your closing thought?
I want to say to individuals, and you just nailed it, because if we get into that, we'll have to reopen. I'm a product of failing forward.
Yeah.
I'm a product of relearning, but most of all, I now understand that it's important to analyze paradigms and be willing to jump, be willing to ignore the voices, and be willing to take do calculated risks and attempting to follow your dreams, follow your passion, and maximizing who you are. I'm not where I want to be, but I sure not where I used to be. And I going after what I see is real and tangible. So, ladies and gentlemen, continue to build you, continue to be you, and continue to build others.
Nice. Also today, here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. We're having a fun day in the park, guys. You've enjoyed this conversation with Kaiwan Gibson and I this evening at 5 p.m. If you're in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, come on out and check out this special event. It's going to be great, and it's free. I'm looking forward to doing some selfie shots. We're going to document the moment as well. We have Nazuri coming out. Naz is going to be filming everything. And so we want you to be a part of this second year anniversary. And here's the deal. We have what we call our anniversary package. Okay, you can get your shirt, your water bottle, and your wristband and represent at the park tomorrow at church or whatever you want to do to make sure you are part of this community of people growing to take control of their lives, learning how to structure themselves in a way that you don't have to, you choose to. It's called effective living. Gibson, it's been a great conversation. We have gone over time, brother. Only the one and only.
Thanks for having me, man.
Hey, it was a joy, man. It was a joy. We got to do this again soon. God bless you. Have a great day, everyone. Don't forget, check us out this evening. Blessings, everyone.